evening, and welcome. My name is Letitia Griffin, and I'm here today as a certified credit counselor to talk to you about any type of problems that you may have with your debt issues, any types of credit questions, anything that you have. Feel free to give us a call, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. Now, if you don't get a chance to call in today, I do want you to remember that you can always contact a certified counselor of family credit at 800-994-3328. Now, the reason I say you can always do that is because Family Credit's got counselors on standby, and you can actually chat live with a counselor if you go to the website at www.familycredit.org. So feel free to take advantage of that because it's a really great resource, especially if you've got questions that you need to ask. Now, right now, April is known as Financial Literacy Month, and there are so many different events that are happening all over the city that are geared towards financial awareness. So I do want you to be mindful of that and watch out for whatever you may see some webinars, you may see some programs, whatever you see taking place. And a lot of people don't realize that with April, guess what? Tax day is right around the corner. So tax day is actually April 18th. Now, I do encourage you that if you've got any type of problems or questions while you're filing your taxes, or you have information that you just really don't understand, you want to clarify some things, the IRS has an advocate service, a consumer advocate service that offers really great one-on-one coaching and information to help you through whatever problems, situations, and questions you may have. And that's the Taxpayer Advocate. And if you want, you can go online and look up the Taxpayer Advocate here in Illinois and find that office and speak with them. Or you can give them a call at 877-777-4778. And that's a really easy number for me to remember because of all the sevens. So again, that number is 877-777-4778. Now, I don't want you to get panicked because April 18th is fastly approaching. And if you have not filed, it's very important that you take the time and at least request an extension with the IRS. And you can do that. It's just a really short process. You can go online and do it. And you can go to irs.gov and you want to look for the form 4868. So form 4860 to file an extension for your taxes. This is really important because a lot of times, especially here on this show, we talk about saving money. You want to save money, right? The last thing you want to do is pay a penalty or a charge or interest when you don't have to. So if you file that form because you have not filed your taxes and you just need a little bit of time, then the IRS should grant that request for you. So remember, you can go online to irs.gov and request form 4868 to file an extension. You have no idea how much they charge in penalties and fees, and I know you don't want to find out, so be sure that you go ahead and do that. Another thing that I want you to keep in mind is that Money Smart Week is coming up. Money Smart Week is a great event throughout Chicago and throughout Illinois, really. Now this year, Money Smart Week is running from April 22nd to April 29th, and there are so many different resources and seminars and events that are happening within the city that you should check out. You can look at your local library. You can also go online to moneysmart.org and look at the calendar of events and see if there's anything that you're interested in. I personally will be at the Fountaindale Public Library during Money Smart Week, 10 a.m. from April 24th, 25th, and 26th at the Fountaindale Library, presenting on a bunch of money management issues. So you can always feel free to look through the Money Smart Week event guide and find something that may be tailored towards you. Also, Money Smart always offers things for children too. So it's always great to check out the event. And a lot of times you want your children to have fun, but you don't necessarily want to spend a lot of money doing it. That's a great resource for you to use. So that way they even look forward to Money Smart Week every year and even think about some different ways you can implement smarter money choices in your household. So don't forget that. Also, Another thing that I wanted you to keep in mind is that a lot of retail stores know that this is tax time and people are getting their refunds. So what are they going to do? Friday, April 14th, a lot of the retailers will be offering discounted sales on cookware, small appliances, and up to 85% off on a lot of different things. So if you're looking to save money, you know you need to make a purchase, look and see if you can save on Friday, April 14th. So we've talked about a few different things that are going on throughout the city, great events and things that you know you need to take care of when it relates to money and finances. Because I want you to remember that we all here think about how can we create wealth. It's not a matter of getting rich anymore, but how can we create wealth? And think about it. Wealth creation, it really is not about what you earn. It's about how much of it you can save, how much of it you can put to good use. So we want to make sure that we're making money smart decisions as well. One small tip that I was coming across, and I wondered if everyone else thought about it too, was how to automate and make your money work for you. And you may ask, well, what does she mean by automation? Well, I'm talking about making good use of all the resources, the tools, the online tools that are available to you, and really with automating makes your life easy. If you've got a bank account, look at using your bill pay service online and see about how you can set up your due dates and things like that so that you can set it and forget it. You don't really have to think about the time that you need to make your bill payments because they will automatically run. You can also think about direct deposit. That's another great way of automation. Then we've got our smartphones, right? So there's a lot of helpful tools online. And today I want you to remember to use mint.com. Mint is a great tool. It's an app that you can put on your phone and also have an account online on your desktop. And what it does is it links all of your credit card accounts, your bank accounts, and it links those together so that it will track your spending. You can also set up a budget online, which is a really great tool. And another perk and benefit of using mint.com is that not only can you pay your bills online, but they now will send you a reminder of when your bill is due. So that way you don't get late payments, because now instead of trying to remember how many bills you have, when to pay them, when to make the payments, you've got these reminders that mint.com will send out to you to let you know, hey, your bill's coming up next week or in a couple of days, however you set it. But remember, you can set it and forget it. So look at automation. One of the things that a lot of people think about too is their credit scores. And so we're going to touch a little bit more on credit scores throughout the rest of this season. But today I just wanted to talk about a change that's coming up that I thought would be interesting to share with you all. And a lot of people are going to see their credit scores increase in the month of July. Guess what's happening then? In July, the credit bureaus will be changing the way that they use credit scoring, and it's actually going to improve a lot of scores for different people. Now, when you think about your credit score is comprised of whatever's on your credit report, and it's got 5 different sections. Well, one of the sections that's weighed heavily on your credit report is public records. And a lot of times people realize that they may have a public record on their account, showing on their profile, that is not theirs. And you may think about it. Anything that's on public records is something that's gone through the court system. So you may or may not be aware of it, especially if you've moved, if you've traveled a lot, or there's a problem with your mail. So there are different reasons why you may not be aware that there's a public record listed on your profile. Well, the great thing that's happening is that the credit bureaus will now have to verify 3 different means of your identity before they can even place a public record on your credit report. Now, you may not think that that's small, but it really is, because now they will have to verify not only your name, your address, your social, your phone number, your date of birth. I'm sorry, not your phone number. It's your name, your address, your date of birth, and your social. If they cannot verify at least 3 of those things, there's no way that that public records will be listed on your credit report. And what that means for you is that an improved score, especially if public records is something that's listed on your score. So keep that in mind. If you've got a public record on your report that you question, that you don't remember, that you don't know what it is a good idea to go ahead and dispute it. Now, there are 3 credit bureaus, which are TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And if you go online to their websites, which their names are their actual their web addresses. So you've got www.transunion.com, www.equifax, and Experian.com. And you want to log on to those websites, you will create a user profile, and then you will go to their education center. In their educational center, they will have step-by-step how you can dispute an item. And they've also gone a long ways to make sure that when you dispute an item, it's very, very easy to do. There you've got drop downs, so you don't necessarily have to fill in everything. You just drop down and see which one applies to your situation and select that, and you submit it to the bureaus. Now, the bureaus then have 14 days to get back to you. Now, they don't have to resolve your issue right away, but they do have 14 days to get back to you to let you know that they are working on your request. Once they have finished with that request, what they will do is they will take that, if their investigation, they find that the information is true, then of course the information will stay on your report. But if they cannot verify that information, or they find it to be false, or it falls into this new category that we were talking about today with the public records, then that information will automatically be removed. And after they remove it, they will send you an updated report which shows you just how that change affected you. Wouldn't it be great to know that your score would improve just like that, just from those little steps? A lot of people don't realize that, and they think, oh, well, I can't do anything because my credit report is bad. I don't want to look at my credit report. I haven't looked at it in years. You do need to look at your credit report. You need to monitor it if you can, and there are great tools out there to help with that, such as Credit Karma and Credit Sesame. And I know years ago I was a skeptic with Credit Karma, but Credit Karma has done a lot of great things to try and improve their reputation, and they really have. Their score that they offer you is pretty much accurate for an educational score. So if you're looking just to get a view of or a glimpse of what your score is, that's a great place to start. And you don't have to sign up for any products. You don't have to be billed for anything that you don't want to. Also, if you think about it, there are people out there that say, guess what? I don't even have a credit score. I've never used credit. And that's okay, because guess what? FICO is actually releasing a new score which looks at your utility payments, your cable, and your phone company, the wireless phone company, and they'll look at that history and base a score off of that, and it's called the FICO XD. So you'll be seeing that come available soon. So even if you think that you don't have credit, there's an alternative. So a lot of times we don't have traditional credit, or people, especially when they're first starting, trying to get some credit established, there's not a lot you can do if you don't have traditional lines of credit. This just gives us an alternative, so be looking out for that. Now, let's go over a few tips or a few things that I've noticed that will tank your score so badly that you don't even know what you did or what happened. So let's go over those 5 things, and we're going to go over them one at a time. The first thing that you can do is missing a payment. A lot of people don't realize that when you miss a payment, it really does impact your score. Do you know that one 30-day delinquent mark on your credit report can drop your score maybe up to 100 points or more? That's devastating when you think about it. It's just one late payment, but it's dropped your score so much. So what I recommend there is, if you've got a credit card or you've got a loan and you cannot make the payment, contact that lender and see if there are any alternatives. See if they can extend your due date. Also, see when they report to the credit bureau. It's very important for you to know that information so that you know how you can get yourself together, and that way you don't miss that next payment. And see if maybe there's a way that they could possibly not even ding your credit. You do need to ask those questions in order for you to find out, because you don't want to tank your score, especially if you've worked hard for it. But just remember, if you do mess up, it's okay, because you can recover just as quickly. Well, it will take time for you to rebuild your score, but you have to have the right mindset, the right discipline to say, okay, I've messed up today, but I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to put steps into place where I can make my score better and get back to where I need to be. So use that logic and that strategy when things happen. Another way that you can tank your score is by opening too many credit cards at one time, or too many new accounts at one time. When you look at opening accounts, especially when you first start to get credit, you are going to get offers from everywhere, and not everyone knows which offers to take. You can contact a counselor at Family Credit to ask questions about that if you have questions, and you can reach them at 800-994-3328. Now, I do recommend that you open your credit card slowly, maybe once every 6 months. What happens when you open an account is that in order for a creditor to open your account, they have to pull your credit report, right? So if you're opening up too many, each time you go and apply for a new account, they're pulling your credit report again and again. And you may, let's say, wait a month and then you open up a new account. That's another hit. And each time you're doing that, it is impacting your score, especially if you're doing it at a progressive period. So you do want to allow yourself enough time to recover. Also, not only does it affect your score once you go to the credit bureaus or go to the creditor and ask them to open up the account, but when they start reporting that account, it will impact your score too. Why? There's no history, no information. It's reporting there, but there's really nothing for them to report, so it can't improve your score yet. Now, as you make payments on it, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, even a year later, that's it when it will have a positive effect on your score as time changes. But right away, I do want to just say, stay away from opening a lot of accounts at one time. Make sure you space it out. Do your research on the credit card company as well, especially if you don't think that you are going to be, you don't really like what the credit card company is offering you. It's okay to go ahead and get a risky credit card when you're trying to rebuild, but know that if you know right away that you're not going to keep it, you're just doing this to get your credit established, then you know how to plan for yourself. There's some credit cards out there that offer a high fee, a high monthly fee. There's some that offer a high annual fee and a high interest rate. There's some that don't offer perks. There's some that offer really good perks and incentives. So you do want to do your research and make sure that you're finding the card that's right for you. Another thing that you need to stay away from is using too much credit at one time. And your credit score really takes into account the amount of credit that you are using. It looks at late payments, yes, but it also takes into account how much you're using. When you use a lot of credit, you look desperate to the credit card company. And what they do then is they can decide whether they want to increase your interest rate. You probably won't be able to get further credit. And there's a lot of negatives that can happen from that. Also, just think about it. The more credit you use, the higher your payments are. And can you really afford a high payment? You also want to keep that in mind. Think about that each and every time you look at whether to make a purchase or not. Make sure you plan it out. Make sure you look at what your interest rate will be. And a lot of times there are varying interest rates on credit cards. They may charge you one thing to make purchases. They'll charge you another for balance transfers, and even more for cash advance. Especially, they probably figure if you are taking money out on your credit card, you must be desperate, and so you will pay for it. So they do charge higher fees. That's something you want to think about too. Also, never close out an old credit card. You always want to look at your history and keep your history there too. Now, when you think about old credit cards, you always want to keep those established because it is strengthening your credit, especially if you're not using it. And if you use it from time to time. Now, I do want to just ask if you've got any other questions. Looks like we've got a caller. Any other questions? Hi.
Yes, and good evening. How you doing?
Good.
I
Can
didn't
I
know
ask
that
you
you
to
was
cut
back
down your
on the air,
TV?
but I
It's
was
like
just
I'm getting a lot of
asking you a
feedback.
question about a credit card. This credit card I've had maybe, I don't know, 10 years. Every now and then I will let one of the kids use the card and but pay it up, you know?
Hmm.
And they keep on just want to send, well, they want to increase it. I mean, the credit card, probably, I don't know, maybe 1,000 on this card. And
Okay.
every time you look around, they want to always increase it, just increase it. And again, it's a card that I don't even use, but I make sure I try to keep a card for a kid coming through, need to pay a telephone bill or something of that nature. Because I stopped doing that. You know, back in the day, you used to get a card, put their name on the card to try to increase the
The
credit.
score,
Well,
right.
you know that don't work anymore, so I don't even do that. So I do just keep a card myself. But how do I mean ridiculous? I think I try to keep 1,000 to use on it. It's
Okay.
1,000 use, and probably every I don't know every few months I pay it up. And then they want to just keep on increasing it, increasing it. And like I said, I've had this car about 7 to 10 years. How can I just get them to quit? Just don't use the car for how long? Then they will dissolve off the list. So let me get out there, and you know I'm not even going to ask you any good tips. Have you heard that people invest in a little piece of change? And because we done never do get that answer. But if you can, it would be nice to hear it. But let me get out there so I can hear your response and see. I'm glad to see you back again.
Thank you. Okay, we actually do have to wrap up the show, so I'll give you a quick response. Remember to tune back in next week, and then we can go over any other questions that you may have. But when you've got a card, no matter what you do on it, keep that in mind. If you say you are not going over $1,000, you keep that $1,000 limit in your head. If your credit card company decides to give you $50,000 on that credit card, you stay with your $1,000. What that's going to do is make your credit better because you aren't using that available credit. If you got $1,000 planted in your head, don't even use more than 500 because that way you're staying within your budget, plus it's showing that you've got more available credit too. So even if they increase it, just don't touch it and just be responsible yourself because it does help you to have that more available credit there. Now we'll be back next week and I'll answer any other questions that you may have. See you then. Take care.